Marco Wüst and I, we first met at the founding apero of the Swiss Data and Innovation Alliance 12, 13 years back at a beautiful evening at Lake Zurich. And we were quickly engulfed in discussions about creating value from data, a topic where Marco is really a master. Today, he is head of AI at Raiffeisen and brings use cases to life which are exciting in all manners. Today he will talk about that process, about the strategic importance of nurturing the team, the entire team, about bringing those elements together. Marco, it's a great pleasure to have you here. Thanks so much for taking time.
Thank you very much. You all know these three companies. They are very successful. Apple, Amazon, and Tesla. But what's the reason behind? Why are those companies so successful? And I don't want to say they are using data and analytics. And it's not about their West Coast origin. It's about vertical integration. They all have a vertically integrated business model. And this is something which I think makes them unique, makes them successful, and is very important. What vertical integration is, I'll talk during the next 20 minutes. I am Marco Wüst and I'm working for Raiffeisen, as Simon said. Almost 17 years I've been working at Raiffeisen, and for the last, let's say, 10 years, I have been responsible for the initiative around data and analytics, or as we said back then, for big data, for the use of big data. You may exchange big data, call it machine learning, call it artificial intelligence, the mission stays the same. You break up data silos, you bring data together, you analyze it, and you try to produce an actionable insight. That's our mission, it was our mission, it is still our mission. Raiffeisen is the second largest bank in Switzerland. I'm still changing. We were the third largest. Today we are the second largest bank in Switzerland. We have about 3.7 million customers. We have 12,000 employees and still almost 800 physical points, selling points, branches throughout Switzerland in all three parts of Switzerland. This makes us somehow unique, and this also is the foundation of our success. We are providing solutions from payment, provision, investments, mortgages, of course, and this makes us quite strong as a retail bank, and this is, as I said, was and still is our mission or our recipe for success. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think that our business model is threatened. We thought about 5 years ago that neobanks will probably disrupt our business, but as we have seen during the last, let's say, 2 years, this hasn't taken place. So we are in a quite comfortable position, which is a bit hard sometimes because it makes you not to think too much about innovation. It just lets you run the business. So it's always two-sided. But let's come back again to my 3 examples of vertical integration, and let's come back to this topic. Why is Apple, or what is their mission? What is their vertical integrated business model? Vertical integration means that you try to control as much of your supply chain, production process, as much as you can. And if you take Apple, they are well known for their products because their products are perfectly fit together. Software, hardware, and also services are put together in a way that no other company or not many other companies are able to do it. And this brings them in a position where they can really be innovative and have a competitive advantage over others. They have produced their own chips. There was no need actually to produce own chips, we thought first, but today we see that this is really an advantage. Let's take Amazon. They have been a bookstore, and they have become one of the biggest logistics and transport companies in the world. And they haven't done that because they wanted to be a transport and logistics company. They have done that because they wanted to have control over their supply chain. They wanted to have the possibility to control whether they can live up to the promise of quick delivery. And since they are an online store, they also said, well, why not developing own software and run it in our own data centers? That's vertical integration. And now the last one, Tesla. This is the Tesla you all know. It's already 11 years old. And Tesla's business model, I think, is the prime example of vertical integration. You produce a car, you put software over hardware, you even have your own mines, you have your own battery production, you have your own supercharger network. And it really works. And you all know, if you have ever driven a Tesla, that the user experience is different. It just works. And this one, it's also a car. If you have driven this one, it has almost the same functionality. You find all the buttons, but the user experience is just not the same. And the reason behind is, VW is not a vertically integrated company. They have been successful in the late 90s by breaking down their cars into different components, searching suppliers for all those components, telling them to produce the best component they can to the lowest cost possible, and they put all those components together, and what they end up with is great dependency, low possibility for innovation, and a product that looks like a car, that drives like a car, but it doesn't produce the same user experience, and thus they don't have that high customer loyalty. If you have ever driven a Tesla, you will probably not change that quick again. But let's come back to Raiffeisen. We are a bank, we are not producing cars, and I think I don't want to compare our bank with those three companies that are really big, but are there some principles that we can use when doing data analytics? Are there some principles of vertical integration? I think yes. You start first with breaking up all your data silos within your bank. In our case, it's of course the core banking system, it's the website, the apps, the physical and the digital part. You bring that all together, you use all the payment transactions. That's for us quickly moving and high volume data. Payment transactions are rich of information. Let's bring into this database sales activities. Let's bring in information from markets, and let's also look around what information from externally you can bring into your database. And that's the first step. Bring everything together you can. And that's not something new, but perhaps we have a bit forgotten to bring everything together during the last years when we all thought, well, we should just buy it somewhere on the free market. So we at Raiffeisen, we think we have to bring data together. And then there comes the hard part. Because bringing data into your lakehouse, data lake, warehouse, wherever you bring it, bringing data into your lakehouse is only the first, in your database, in your data platform is only the first step. The second step, and that's the hard bit, and I always tend to say, if you are a data scientist at Raiffeisen or a data engineer, you work from Monday to, let's say, Thursday evening for data engineering, for your data pipeline, for feature engineering. You have to produce your features, Kasper. He's working in my team. I have to pay attention what I'm saying. And if you do it correctly, if you compare it again to a car, if you think of your database as your base chassis, as your base platform, if you integrate your data well, if you bring external data, internal data to it, you end up with some kind of semi-finished product, which are your data products. And if you do this correctly, your AI models will run on a database that is used by every single data scientist the same way. You only have one data pipeline and not several. Don't do that case by case. Usually you start with your first case, and then of course you have to build your first data pipeline. But with your second case, don't build another one. With your first, don't build your third data pipeline. Just work on one data pipeline, and by doing so, you're building up your data asset. And if you ask me, I'm convinced data is the thing which makes you differentiate from the others. It's not the AI models, it's not the technology. Technology is somehow interchangeable. You can buy it on the free market. Of course, it's not easy to get the technology right, but you're not building up a position where you differentiate yourself from others. So data is your asset, and you have to do it right. You do it once, and you scale it then. You use it in every different use cases. Organize it like a product. That's the second thing. If you organize data like a product, you're always in a position where you fulfill a demand of your customer. Ask your customer, ask the people in your company, or even the final customer, ask the customer what is the problem, and then you build a solution, and then you organize it like a product. You have a backlog, you have a product manager that is trying to manage this product. Perhaps it's more product lines what you see here, but it's based on the same. Let's take the picture from the car manufacturing again. It's based on the same chassis, it's based on the same platform, and with data products and managing data like a product, there comes scalability. And I have seen many examples where scalability of data analytics initiatives haven't been there, and that was a big problem also for the support of data and analytics. So do it once, use it over and over again, and data, it doesn't tear and wear. You can use it as many times as you want. And now to make it a bit more tangible, I'm trying to be as tangible as possible. We are a bank. We have, as I said, 3.7 million customers. And we soon realized that if we want to have this 360-degree view on our customers, we have to understand where they are living. Because where you live says quite a lot about who you are, at least from a banking perspective. And be aware, if we don't know you, we only know your address. If we only know that you are living, let's say, in this house here, which is not a client of us, the people around you also tell us quite a lot about you in the middle, you as a prospect. And so we quite early realized that we not only have to work on the data in the core banking system and so on, we also have to understand real estate, we have to understand the property, we have to understand the neighborhood. And by doing so, we were building up a data asset or data, let's say, product lines around the customer, as I said before, but also around property, around real estate. And if you do that, this real estate thing, by going to the market, by watching, by finding out who is doing that best. I know there are several companies in the market that are analyzing the real estate market for quite a long time, and they are doing it very good with their data. And there are a lot of startups that are also producing very good services based on their data. And if you are going to buy for every need you have the data from the external market, if you're going to buy even a module, a service, where are you ending up then? Then you are producing VW. If you're buying that components from the free market, you are not building on your data asset. And it's really tempting to do so. And especially if you have in your board, if you have on your C-level managers that have learned in the past how VW was successful, if they stick to those rules from the past, they will just go to the market, they will buy whatever they can buy because it allows you to have a jump start. But you're not building a long-term differentiating factor. Let's stay with this example of real estate, and let's think you're trying to build a real estate cockpit for your end customers. that's a visualization. Of course, we are thinking about that as one of the biggest financing partner for mortgages in Switzerland. And if you can do that in the manner you can, the VW is produced, of course you can have a model that is trying to estimate the price of a house. Of course you can have the information about solar photovoltaic, about solar potential on your roof. Of course you can have some content from external that brings valuable additional information. Of course you can have these 3D models. You can buy that everywhere. And I have seen other banks buying that from the external market, bring this information to their e-banking systems, and I think it doesn't fulfill or it doesn't live up to the expectation a customer has, because he looks at it and he thinks, well, it's somehow not connected, it's somehow not what I expect, it just says what I expect, but it doesn't bring that as an information what I really want to see there. Why are my expenses I have for my house not in this cockpit if you have it not from your bank, if it's not integrated, if it's not stick together well, if it's not glued in the background by data? I think that's a big problem of the solutions I have seen on the market. And the problem would be to be vertically integrated, to do it on your own. So if this is possible to do it to do it yourself as a bank, I think yes, it is. Probably not every small bank should do that, but as the second largest bank in Switzerland, I think it's almost no choice to do it like this. So what I'd like to encourage you, if you're not in the car market, if you're not in the financial sector, what I'd like to encourage you is take those 3 points, those 3 points as a recipe. Get control over your data supply chain, get control over your supply chain. Always consider doing it yourself, because if you find somebody else that can do it, you can do it as well. It's possible. And you're building a data asset, you're building something that differentiates you if you do it yourself. If you just buy it on the market, you buy the same stuff as everybody else can buy as well. Second, data and talent, and not technology, is what you should look for. It goes somehow with the first. And the third is treat data like a product, which means do it in a scalable way, do it only once the data pipeline, produce data products, meet customer needs within your company, manage your data like it was a product. And by doing so, and that's not that doesn't come from my desk, it's a study that has been done by Harvard Business Review together with McKinsey. By doing so, you can eliminate or shorten the time to market of your data products drastically, because you have already your data pipeline, you have your technology, you have your processes, and you don't have to do it case by case. You can shorten your time to market, which is extremely important if you are looking to C-level. If C-level has to wait 18 months, 2 years for your solution, well, they have already gone to the next idea, and you will be lost in your data science cave. So shortened time to market is one of the biggest advantage. The second is better cost efficiency, because this kills you in the long term if you're not cost efficient, and reduced burden of data governance, which is somehow counterintuitive, because you have to put a lot of data governance, you have to put a lot of rules over this process, because it doesn't work if you don't. But if you do it from the beginning, at the end of the day, you will have much less data governance burden. And if you're working for a bank, you all know what I mean. You have seen the circular 23/1. So I would like to encourage you with those 3 points. We are trying to do it at Raiffeisen this way. I'm always fighting for those 3 points, because it's not obvious, because you have on the other side sometimes managers that come from the late 90s. And with this, I'm happy to take your questions.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentation. I want to connect two things you said. One is the shorter time to market with these data products, and also the comfortableness of Raiffeisen as having a good standing in the Swiss market. So if you want to start up building a new data product, building a new solution, at first you have to build it. So I assume the first time you use a data point, time to market will be longer.
Yes.
And if you have that comfortable position, how do you convince your board or your management to take the time to build it up correctly and then wait a little longer for the first use case?
Yeah, the question is whether you have to wait a little longer for the use case, or whether you have to bring up something quite quickly, but always keep in mind what you are aiming for at the end, after 2, 3, 4 years. But I know exactly what you mean, and for us it meant we have to go into some kind of Vorleistung. We had to work in the background on our data asset so that we are prepared. It's still that today, and of course, the bigger your data asset gets, the more use cases you can tackle with it, and you can tackle it quite quickly. But at the beginning, it's hard work, yes, of course, and the first use case won't be the quickest, and that's what I said. It's tempting for your manager to buy the solution from the external market. You have somehow to balance it. I can't give you a recipe for that. Be as smart as the external marketing and sales guys do it. Be a marketeer. That's the answer, actually. Be also a marketeer besides your data and analytics job.
Thanks for a very nice presentation. I have a question on the data. As you have stated, it is a differentiator for you, and it's obviously a valuable asset. So does it mean that you do not support the open banking initiative that much and would not open it to other banks? It would be also a nice way to provide a holistic view on the situation of a customer, right?
Yes, it would be actually. And the question is, at the end of the day, with open banking, who will be the one that consolidates the different banks below? And for us as Raiffeisen, we are not the one that is pushing open banking in Switzerland, but I think we would be in a very well strategic position, because we already have 3.7 million customers. And if smaller banks would open their accounts, so I would say, let's go and consolidate this data into one big view, of course. But in Switzerland, as you all know, we have been somehow forced by UK market, by PSD2 initiatives from around us, and I think today it has become a bit quieter on this topic, but we would be open because, as I said, we would be in a good position. But I don't think that we would be sharing our data with others. We would like to get more data into our 360-degree view. Yeah, and that's the problem actually, because everybody wants to be the consolidator. Yeah.
Thank you for your great presentation and for starting with vertical integrated companies. Now, in the last few years, there was speculation about hyperscaler companies such as Google, Amazon, Meta entering the financial spaces market. How do you see it happening, and do you think they will bring disruption?
As I said, I don't think it will bring disruption. It somehow makes the financial market a bit more fragmented. There are some solutions that are working really well, we see in payments. But we also have a Swiss bank, our solution Twint, which is working quite well in Switzerland. I don't see today that those big companies are going into the business that we are doing, like Raiffeisen. As I said, our value is proximity. We have 12,000 people all over the place, and selling mortgages is not a digital business actually. We thought about 6 years ago that also selling mortgages will become a fully digital business. But as we have seen today, customers want to see their advisors in the branch. They want to have somebody on the other side of the table. Although they are doing quite a lot digital, I don't see today that big companies like Google, like Amazon, like Revolut, or like any other is going to disrupt this business. Perhaps payment, yes, but there are still some very interesting products that are not challenged.
Time for one last quick question.
One, two. Hello and thank you. So you were drawing this analogy between, let's say, conventional cars and a car rich with technical features, AI features that is electric. I want to stay in this analogy for a moment and think that we know that the value of conventional cars or conventional products designed 20 years ago has lasted today. In some sense, if there was a quality product built 20 years ago, it still has some value in the market today. Whereas we do not know what is the future, the second hand, let's say, future of these products that are really based on new technologies, software that can or cannot be maintainable in the future. So I would like to bring this analogy now to the banking ecosystem, in the sense that, do we know that all the software that will be integrated, all the AI solutions that will be integrated, are we guaranteed that there will be maintenance in 20 years from now? There will be maintenance of the old products because we've seen that it has survived the test of time. But what if there are issues with the algorithmic design of the integrated components in the future? Are there, let's say, safety locks in your design to go back to the traditional design of not using, for example, AI solutions, but testing every decision through a human factor?
A quick one, Marco.
Yes, it will be lasting. The solutions will... Now you have to differentiate between core banking functions and AI and analytics things. I think they are not that closely connected. Our analytics solution is sitting on top of all the operational systems. And of course, the operational systems will last much longer than our solutions will last. What I was trying to convince you is that you have to get control over your analytics process as much as you can. That was my analogy with car manufacturing.
Thanks so much, Marco, for a wonderful talk. Thanks for the engaging discussions. We have a short break and continue 10 after.